When did the popular kid's life fall apart in a few seconds? Developed a conscience midway through college after gaining 50 pounds and losing his starting QB spot. Checked into rehab for alcoholism and made amends with everyone he had ever bullied, which was basically everyone in our high school. I ran into him in my hometown last year and we had a nice chat. People can change. Unfortunately, a cheerleader from my school had a four-wheeling accident that left her in an almost vegetative state. Through years and years of hard work on her part, she's been able to gain a little more independence. However, she'll never be exactly the same as she was before the accident. It's really sad and crazy how quickly your life can change from an accident. Went out drinking on a Saturday night with a friend of his. He drove home and slammed into a brick wall at 40 miles per hour if I remember that correctly. His friend in the passenger seat barely survived, but he died on impact. The captain of the football team underwent surgery his senior year. I was 13 on the middle school team. His younger brother and I were very close, so I was around him a lot. I looked up to him like an older brother. He drove me to early practices. Was very smart. Dated a pretty cheerleader. Not a mean bone in his body. He had it all. For a 13-year-old, he was my hero. After his surgery he got hooked on painkillers. He went from painkillers to heroin. He was arrested multiple times for theft and drug possession. This went on for years. I would always ask my friend from middle school how he was doing. It never got better. He died last year. Drugs suck. I miss my hero. Edit. Typo. Also, thank you for all your support on this comment. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction to anything, please ask for help from someone. My PMs are always open as well. He started doing heavy drugs and fist fought the vice principal. Parents kicked him out at 18. Haven't heard much since. 3 popular kids went swimming in a quarry. Only 2 came out. It sucks because the one that died was popular for all the right reasons. He was a genuinely good dude. I was the weird kid. But his locker was right next to mine and he was friendly every single day to every single person. He was an only child. And his dad had died when he was 2. Was really happy-go-lucky. And he was popular because he was outgoing, supportive, warm and kind to everybody without fail. And although he was friends with the kind of kids who bullied people, he was the first person to tell them to knock that shit off if he saw it. When we were 16, his mum, who was one of the nicest ladies I ever met in our small town, was crushed to death by a semi-trailer that drifted into her lane. He dropped out of school. He stopped talking to anybody. And he refused to let anyone visit him. I have no idea what became of him. Sorry, Jay. I hope your life got better. There was this kid that I went to high school with almost 20 years ago who was 2 grades ahead of me, seemed like the popular kid. He had a hot GF. He was really funny, decent at sports and didn't seem to have issues. Anyways, turned out one day his mom came home to him laying in the basement with a bullet wound in his head. I was told he used a shotgun to kill himself but loaded it birdshot. Because of this he didn't die. I now see him walking around town and he can't speak anymore and walks as if he had a stroke. One side of his body doesn't work properly. Really sad, and that's all I can think about anytime I drive around and see him walking. You never know what people actually feel inside. You might wish you could be someone else because everything seems so perfect, but rarely is it ever the case. My brother was the popular kid in school. He was loved by everyone. And most of the people I graduated with know him, but since we have different last names didn't know we were related until I told them. He started pills in high school. Then coke. Then heroin. In and out of jail. Forced into rehab instead of serving jail time. Lived in our mom's basement until he was 30. He finally moved out, but my parents pay his rent. He's a year sober now though. Guy on the football team sent a girl's nudes to the entire football team and a good portion of people in my grade. Got arrested during class. I haven't seen him since. He got made fun of because he wanted to wait to have sex with his new GF, popular girl, so he caved and did it. Teen pregnancy. This guy I used to hang out with in elementary school was pretty overweight, but I'd had the biggest crush on him. I lost track of him for a few years, but by high school he came back and had lost all the weight. He was pretty athletic and was generally well liked. I didn't talk to him, but the guy seemed decent. I guess he liked driving like an idiot. The year after he graduated, he wrapped his car around a pole. They had to use the jaws of life to pull him out of his car, but it was too late. Head died on impact. There had been multiple reports that night of people calling the cops to complain about his reckless driving around town. I just remember that chubby little boy I used to spend recess with every day. When he hit and killed a state trooper on the freeway while the trooper was out of his car trying to remove debris from the road. I'm not sure I would call him the popular kid, but in some circles he was. He was a bit of an arrogant ass in my opinion, but had money and liked to spread it around. His dad was a wealth manager. Lots of friends, family, community members were clients. A few years after high school it came out that dad had embezzled millions. Their entire wealth was stolen from friends and family. This rocked him hard. Dad went to jail and he changed his name and totally became a different person. I saw him after that and barely recognized him. His personality and even his posture was different. I felt really bad for him. I ended up having a really good talk with him and I can only imagine what he has gone through. Edit. Whoa. Lots of people have asked for details on location and was it so and so, which tells me this has clearly happened before. I won't give any more details other than it wasn't in the US. His parents divorced and he started acting out. He went from good grades and clubs to failing and drugs. Football star and lead singer of our choir was arrested for raping a freshman. It split the school in half because there was no evidence and he was black and she was white. He was convicted and years later she said she lied at a party to a bunch of people when drunk. He rejected her and she was angry, so that was her revenge. Even with that statement they won't reopen the case though. She has a happy life with kids in a nearby town and he gets out in 5 years and it's f***ing sad. I actually ran into one of the super popular kids at the local bar when I came home from college. She would never give me the time of day in high school and I for sure thought she didn't even know I existed. But she approached me at the bar, super drunk, and said, "Hey, didn't I go to high school with you?" She then proceeded to tell me she wished she had been nicer to more people in high school and that she has no idea what she's doing with her life. Honestly feels good to know that she's thought about how she treated people back then. Not sure if that's the norm or just a weird occasion. Lost control of his car when he and his best friend were driving to Taco Bell at night. He came out of it with a fractured collarbone. His friend died on the spot. He was really close with his friend's parents too and vice versa. He made a few posts on Facebook on how he was an idiot and how sorry he was. The dead friend's sister and parents made it very clear that they didn't blame him. It was winter, black ice, and he was 100% sober. Before he was, like, a stereotypical popular dude but in the wholesome way. Dropped out of school and became addicted to painkillers. Don't know what happened to him afterwards, but it was just sad for everyone. His best friend turned him in because he found out he arped someone. He sent a video of him sucking his own dick to his girlfriend and then it was leaked to the whole school. Is it possible to learn this power? Edit. Just the giving yourself head part. Nothing else. When we walked across the stage, I was amazed by how much simpler university relationships were compared to high school. Popular people who picked on me in high school were suddenly desperately in need of a friendly face and it was all water under the bridge. He wrecked his car into a wall and died on prom night. His dad died. It was really shitty. Before that he was popular, but also smart, motivated, a great athlete and actually a great guy and person. As much as you can be till you're 15. Then his dad died right before he was going to have a football game. Heart attack in the shower before they were gonna leave for it. We heard about it later. And basically, from there, everything seemed to decline. He became angry as you could expect. And I think looking back you'd expect a decline in everything at first. But he just spiraled deeper and deeper. We didn't see him for a while. When I did catch up with him later in high school, he'd been so into drugs his brain literally seemed fried. It was sad for every reason. This kicked me in the ass. My twin sons are pretty popular in school. We just found out that my cancer is growing again. I'm 33. I'm not ready to die. My boys are 9. They're not ready for me to die. I can only hope we make the best of however much time we have left together. Got hit by a car. Went from bully to paraplegic. She was a bully. Nothing good to say about her. But that is a rough end. And that's how Regina George died. In the 5th grade, our terrible teacher at the time told the entire class that the reason the popular kid acted out was because he didn't get enough attention at home. She did this in front of the entire class. And he left the room sobbing. My entire perspective of him changed that day. And we all already knew that the teacher was a terrible person. But that solidified it in all of our minds. Had this cliff that was really dangerous. And to keep kids away, the genius locals spread around the rumor that it was haunted. Naturally, the cool kids wanted to go there like all the time. Once the gang of those supposedly cool kids, 4 in total, went there and no one really knows what happened. One kid jumped to his death. The stories of the rest didn't pan out correctly. Each one had a different version. They were high. No one was jailed. But all 3 were depressed and eventually spiraled out of control. One OD'd 2 years later. One was in a car accident. Drunk. And one committed suicide. That cliff is definitely haunted. Her mom was diagnosed with dozens of brain tumors at the beginning of our senior year. Died before Christmas. Girl went from stable, well off and beautiful to a wreck. Then off the map. After that, we lost 4 students violently. Including 2 sisters stabbed by their stepdad. Staff quit. Pretty much no one in our senior class made it in life. Suicides followed graduation. 1999 was a really tough year for our school. Edit. Thanks for the awards. RIP inbox. This happened in Snoqualmie, WA. Aka Twin Peaks. I am doing okay these days. Despite a rough life. Can't say the same for the classmates that I did keep up with. Ongoing trauma is that much harder to process when literally everyone around you is grieving too. No one gets a pause long enough between deaths to ever fully heal from any of them. We did our best. 1999 was a messed up year for so many people and I don't know why. I think about that Offspring song Kids Aren't Alright a lot. He ended up becoming a 2nd grade teacher and molested little girls in his class. Now he's in prison for an incredibly long time. One of the most popular girls in my high school had a blood clot that killed her in her sleep in the middle of the school year. I'm not having fun anymore. Got beaten up by the guys he bullied and died of his injuries. One kid on school was popular only because he liked to start tea and bully everyone. So most people were friends with him just to avoid being a victim. One day he tried that on the wrong kid. Got beat up so bad to the point he started crying. Honestly, I think it was a win for the bully because it gave him a pretty good wake up call. Became less of a bully and is now quite humble. The stud quarterback about 2 years ahead of me has been narcaned at least half a dozen times. He might be dead now. Not sure if that was a problem for him in high school, but I heard he had a nasty pain pill habit in college and probably transitioned to heroin from there. This guy tried to drop all his friends to become a popular kid. BC he had a massive ego, but he ended up just losing all his friends and getting nothing in return. In the 8th grade there was a really popular kid in my school that was the head of the football team. He was also a huge bully. Would beat nerds up for no reason at least twice a week. One day he either got drunk or high and jumped off a bridge as a prank. I'm not sure how he didn't know that the lake he jumped into was riddled with underwater trees. As you can see the branches during the daytime. Either way, I don't think his body was found. Our school held a huge memorial for him. But I will always remember him as a bully. Underwater trees. I don't think his body was found. Are you sure they were underwater trees? Rumor went around that his parents paid a hefty amount to ignore our pay allegations and keep him on the football team. Edit. No, it never ended up on the news. I'm not sure of the truth behind the rumors because my school likes to keep rumors hushed and there's too many kids at my school to get a single story. He FaceTimed his girlfriend and she screen recorded him putting a baseball bat in his ass. Like, in his ass. He was caught with nude photos of girls from our school on his phone. Those same girls didn't even send those to him. He became a registered sex offender, then had to attend a lot of court. Then he was filed for sexual assault, for other reasons than the pictures, and was proven guilty. No one really talked to him after the incident and then he quickly moved away. Never to be seen again. Edit. Well, a super popular cheerleader girl at my school ended up falling down some stairs and broke her back and got paralyzed and has to use a wheelchair ever since. So yes, that is one example answer. Stairs are not a joke. When she got pregnant and a few years later she moved to another school district. Edit. Didn't expect this to explode and realize that it's common in most school districts. When he had an affair with his best friend's mom, dad died a few years before, and they got caught, so the mom got arrested for sex with a minor. The friend had to go live with other family with her younger siblings. Edit. It was statutory rape. One of the popular kids at my school did cocaine in the bathroom, and then saw a female security on his way out. So he decided to put her in a chokehold. When it was found out he abused his younger siblings, guy was a total outcast and was beaten to death. They tried meth. When I was in 5th grade, back in the 1960s, there was a kid in our class named Lawrence. He was the best student in our class, always finished math tests way before anyone else, and the best athlete, so picked first for every team sport. One day, during class, a lady from the principal's office came in, whispered something to our teacher, and then the two of them escorted Lawrence out into the hallway. A few minutes later, our teacher returned and told us that Lawrence's father had been killed in Vietnam when the helicopter he was in was shot down. Lawrence never returned our school. My older brother was in Nam at that time. He made it back safe. That was the day the full reality of the war really hit me. Actually, a little after high school. This kid was one of the most well-liked kids in school. Literally everyone loved him. He even showed up to the funeral of some kid he never hung out with outside of school when the aforementioned kid committed suicide. His dad got really sick after his freshman year of college, and after his dad was hospitalized for months before needed an extremely serious procedure done to save his life. He took the next semester off from school to care for his dad. This kid also lost one of his best friends to addiction and a close family friend. Life just started to kick the shit out of him. He's still a great guy, but after experiencing something serious like that, it wears on a person. He's more quiet than he used to be, but still the same great guy. I heard this one from my brother. Resident popular kid and arsehole with fully paid scholarships proceeds to get drunk on Halloween, crash through the French doors of somebody's house, and passes out of their couch while covered in blood and puke while still dressed like Superman. Enter a horrified family finding him after they got home from their own Halloween party. An arrest. And no scholarships. Edit. Okay. Now, I take a nap and wake up to nearly 10,000 votes to answer questions. A fake. He did not crash a car into the building. He was blackout drunk, trying to walk home, and stumbled through the window or threw something through it and then charged through the glass is the way I heard the story. That's where the blood came from. He lost his scholarships because of the arrest. Not quite sure if it impacted his ability to graduate on time or if the incident happened on or near campus. 6'3" football player. Drug dealer and general shtbag got arrested 2 weeks before going to college. His family was really poor, but he had a full ride. In spite of his obvious drug habits, selling to middle schoolers, and various other shitty extracurriculars, somehow his record gets swept under the rug and time to still go. Much like his high school GPA. Halfway through the first semester he gets shot in the gut at a drug deal that went wrong. He survived, and last I heard he got picked up by another college. I've no idea how he graduated high school, let alone how he got away with the rest of it. I guess in the South being good at football takes you most anywhere. Far as I know he hasn't fallen apart yet, but it seems to be only a matter of time.